If you're not following the Jewish laws, right, in a certain level, you're not considered a Jew anymore. In halacha of law. So you're not. You lose your identity.
In their eyes, we don't even have a right to respond to what happened on October 7th. October 7th was a just response to the mistreatment, and we should just allow that because we deserve it.
Why are you criticizing America, but yet you're living in the and basking in the benefits of American culture? Right? Go leave the country if you don't like America.
Totally.
Leave it.
We have a tremendous amount of power in the United States. It's like we should at least admit it.
Hello, everybody. We're here at the Rabbi Beni podcast, RB podcast, with our great friend, Mr. Rafi Pinsky. That is you, who runs a Soothing Semantics podcast and is an IDF veteran and also a great real estate agent. I hear he does miracles in Florida, in Miami especially. So if anyone who needs Rafi for any commercial or residential also?
Primarily residential.
Primarily residential, any type of real estate. Let's make it macro as possible. A deal is a deal. Please contact Rafi in the YouTube descriptions below, guys. Rafi, welcome. How are you?
I am doing great. A bit under the weather, but it's been fantastic. This last week, I've been running around, seeing family, seeing friends, doing a bunch of podcasts. This is already the third time I've seen you in the last week. Went out to dinner at Wall Street Grill. Then we did a Q&A, gave a short speech at that other synagogue. Okay. And now we're here. So we've been busy.
Yeah, I appreciate, first of all, for you coming out. Especially it was literally almost last minute kind of let's do this thing, right, with Adam and except call Rafi, and you're always available, which is awesome. I love it. The availability factor is very key, especially for friends and future, ventures that we're going to do, hopefully.
Well, I try to make it work,
Yeah, no doubt. And listen, I think it was pretty good, this event, this past couple of weeks, no?
It's great.
Awesome. Appreciate that. So Rafi, we're bringing here, we want to know, who is Rafi? We want to know your life story, where you come from, where you're going to go, how are you going to be? What are your aspirations? What can we learn from you in this world and business and your experience in IDF? So my first question will be, where were you born? Are you Israeli American? Are you American Israeli? People don't realize it's a big difference, the two, right?
For sure. So I was born in Tashkent.
Guys, Rafi's Bukharian.
I was born in Tashkent, in the mountains. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, in the Jewish area. Flatbush, Midwood.
Oh,
and
Flatbush guy.
Yes. Yeah. So I would say I was raised modern Orthodox, went to more religious elementary school. So I guess kind of middle of the road elementary religiosity. Grew up to a single grandmother. Didn't know my parents. So my mother's Jewish, my father is not. Didn't meet either of them. My mother passed away a couple of years ago. So small family in the States.
Well, explain, a couple of years ago now or a couple of years ago then?
A couple of years ago from now. Yeah, she must have passed away about 4 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Right.
But you never met your mother, you said?
Just bury her. Bury her was the first time.
So you never met your mom, but you bury her. You said Kaddish for her for the year?
No, I didn't say a full year of Kaddish. It was odd for me, to be honest. I probably should have, but it was not knowing of her at all kind of made it
very hard. No, I said right. Yeah, listen, it's tough on the mind and stuff on the...
Yeah, no, well, truthfully, it really wasn't tough. Her passing wasn't tough because I didn't know her, which is hard for a lot of people to understand. A lot of people will say, but she's your mother. I didn't know who she was. Bro.
So who raised you? My
grandmother, my mother's mother.
Oh, wow.
Right. So,
and is there a reason why you didn't know your mom and why she...
My mother, unfortunately, wasn't a fit parent. She wouldn't have been able to take care of children. She had another son after me.
Oh, wow.
Right. But he was put into foster care.
And you have no connection with him.
I would like to meet him. Before he was 18. I tried to reach out to the adoption centers, but they said because he is an AT, we can't really give over too much information. So now that he's older, I would like to.
Wow. But hopefully this podcast will get him.
Yeah, no, this is really just something I just didn't think to do afterward. But once he was past 18, I got busy with life.
No, listen, of course. I mean, you're interacting with things that are unknown to you, right? So it's not easy for you to find, and the system is very hard. They're very strict on this.
So now that he's older, it'll probably be a lot more doable.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a different story, but I mean, I had like I say to anyone I tell the story to, I had a good childhood. It wasn't particularly easy. I didn't have, I didn't get to go on vacations, and we didn't have anything fancy. It was very simple, but I had a very good social life since I was a little kid. I had a lot of friends when I got out of school, and I'm very blessed. Like I didn't, there's a lot of kids that have two parents where there's either verbal abuse in the house or physical abuse, God forbid, or something happens in the school where there's a teacher that does something. And I think we all know what I mean by that.
Yeah.
I didn't have any of that. Meaning none of those negatives were in my life. So although I wouldn't say I had it, I wasn't going on vacations, and I didn't grow up in a big, beautiful house. And my dad didn't pick me up in his Mercedes because we didn't have any. I didn't have a car at all.
Wow.
You manage. You make the best of it. And I think gratitude and appreciation are very, very important, because you always have a choice. There are kids who grow up in Beverly Hills that become drug addicts. The parents are movie producers, and they decide to take the wrong route because nobody gives the son of so-and-so, it's an A-list actor, the credit for anything. It was your dad who did everything. You're just a product of your father's success. That's not an easy thing to deal with either, right? For me, I didn't have anybody that I could say built me necessarily, right? You have friends and people in your life that may help bring you up. But whatever I do, I know that it was due to my hard work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it shows how down to earth you are, by the way. I mean, the way your demeanor proves and shows that you've been, grew up in a good life, in a sense of you didn't have the bling, which makes you understand life better, I believe. I think if you come into a family that is, like you say, A-listers or rich people, the rich people always have the accessibility to do more sin. Like we have this story with the Alexander brothers, right?
Very true.
Right. So that actually Jordan Peterson writes this in his book. And even though he wrote in his book, it's actually written in so many Sfarim in Judaism, like from Moshe Wali and so many others. When you have the money, you have the ability to spend, and you don't have the struggle, the accessibility to sin becomes much more enormous. And as a rabbi in the rabbinical circles, I've seen people with problems more with those who have money.
Yes.
Because when you have that money, you feel, you're on top of the game. It's that delusion. It's a delusional power. So money is just a tool. It's not the prime. And if it becomes the prime, you just lose the game.
100%. Alger said, I think also there's a big blessing to getting money later on, to having to really work to earn it slowly.
Yeah.
So then you get kicked in essence, where surely get kicked in the tuchus.
Right.
Enough to see the value of things. So say if you're a young Macaulay Culkin, the actor that played Home Alone, right?
Right.
I'm sure you know the whole course is he got terribly into drugs. And there are a lot of these young child actors that fall into terrible.
And he lost a lot of money, by the way.
It happens to all of them. It happens to so many. Lindsay Lohan, Paris Hilton, they fall into this downward spiral because they get all this fame and attention and money so early on in life. They haven't experienced a lot of setbacks and failures. They're so used to everything coming to them. The success just flows. And it's overwhelming. And they're easy to manipulate. You have these older celebrities that like, come with me to this party. Let's do this. Let's do that. Or they say, without me, you wouldn't have had anything. So you owe me A, B, and C. They're very impressionable because they're young and they're naive. They haven't gone through enough. So I think it's a big blessing to earn your success later, especially to earn it slower. That's another Torah concept, right? What comes slowly stays, what comes quickly usually leaves.
No doubt. Right. So asking your grandmother is around?
She is around. She has dementia.
Okay.
I just went to see her a few days ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was tough.
Dementia's hard, by the way. I heard a lot of people, they suffer from, the family suffers from that as well. It's not just the woman or the man who has it.
Oh, it was hard. It's hard to see her that way because especially because her and I were best friends.
Wow.
She wasn't that old grandma that
She was the cool grandma.
she was so cool. She was so cool. Everybody loved her.
Wow. How old is she, Maz?
She's young. I would say she's young for someone to have dementia. She's about 80 now.
Wow. That's pretty heady one, yeah. That's pretty young. Wow. So listen, obviously it's your for shlema, for sure. Hopefully they find cure for dementia.
Oh God, I hope.
I hope so too. No, but man, Alzheimer's and dementia are like the most critical. I think in the Gemara it says Rabbi Yossi had dementia potentially,
Yeah.
or Alzheimer's. It's so interesting that he lost all memory and regained it back. Like they had a way to regain his memory back. I'm
You
like,
got to tell me what that way is.
I wish I knew myself, but the Gemara does say it's like very interesting. Like, oh, he lost all memory and then all of a sudden he gets it back. It was like really interesting, really weird. In that sense. Yeah. But for sure, like you said, Daniel actually said 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks, last podcast, the first episode, make shout out to Daniel for coming on my first episode. All right. So he mentioned the concept of surrender, that there's the word end in surrender. And
I saw.
yeah. So yeah. And you have to end things, just literally end things. Just realize you're burning your time and your life for what? For a party, for some drugs, for nonsense. Like, why are you burning it? Like, for what? What are you gaining by burning it? So yeah, obviously if a person makes decisions in life, you know, you go from one thing to another. And I'm very impressed that in your situation, not to have any, not to fall into these traps is unbelievable. To be honest with you. So my question would be next is, what made you think to go to the IDF and to be part of a military? I mean, the U.S. military wasn't good enough for you?
Yeah. I went to these. I went to these floors of you around these crazy Israelis.
Yeah, like what's going on here? Like,
I don't feel too bad. It's more just a congestion thing. But my grandmother instilled good values. Thank God. I'm not perfect. You know, I had my party days and I did my thing. But any kind of drugs or anything like that, because I also saw people. There were people around me, not friends, but people not far from me, so to speak, that I saw them living that life, and I said, "Yeah, but I'm just not going to do that."
not for you, right? I mean, it shouldn't be for anyone. No one should.
Yeah, but I'm glad that I had the discipline and the parenting that I had, so it just wasn't enticing to me. And I wasn't in those circles. I didn't befriend people like that, so it was easy. In terms of the army, the IDF, my grandmother was a very big Zionist. She was a very pro-Israeli person. She was a very proud Jew. And she was a very outspoken woman, so she would go to work on the subway, and if they were Jews for Jesus, not just the Christians, but Jews for Jesus, if you're familiar with them, of course, now she would go off on them and everything. And she doesn't have a problem with other religions. Be whoever you want, be Muslim, be Christian, be Hindu, no problem. She had plenty of friends from all walks of life. It was more of the idea of don't proselytize, or there's Christians, but then if you're claiming you're a Jew for Jesus, it's a little problematic. So she really wasn't into that. So this is a very proud Jewish woman. Instilled that in me. Naturally, it eventually became something I felt I had to do.
So Zionism, you know, I hear this being said a lot of times. It seems to be in social media a bad word. You're a Zionist or whatever it is. I mean, Zionism is literally in Hebrew Zion, which is the name for Jerusalem. You know, it doesn't, you know, what's going on here? Why has it become this way?
It's funny. There's this pro-Palestinian or quote unquote Palestinian girl commented on one of my reels on my Instagram page, something about Israel not being a state, and then I saw that she went to Zion National Park and she took a picture there. So we should petition to change it to Palestine National Park. They don't even think it doesn't even cross their minds. The whole concept of a Zionist, the Zionist, is somebody who believes in the return of the Jews to their ancestral homeland. It's a beautiful thing. If they have an issue with it, they can kick rocks. It's just they've learned to differentiate Zionists from Jews, but it's really to me it's impossible to do that. Do you want to say you're a Jew that's an anti-Zionist because you don't believe the country runs on the religious values that it should, meaning it's not religious enough? Okay, I can understand that. So as Jews, we always tend to disagree on things, but I think Jews need to understand that if by default they believe that Jewish people should have a country in Israel, they're Zionists. If the term doesn't sit well with them and they want to call themselves Tzionim or Tzionim or what have you, no problem. To me, it's very simple.
I'm going to throw you a huge curveball. Possibly they might clip this with the Palestinian groups for their benefit, but listen, knowledge is knowledge, Torah is Torah.
Yeah.
Right? I'm pro-Israel. I'm not I'm not pro-Israel. Obviously, was born in Israel. I'm pro-American too. I believe in American values. I believe in, the Judeo-Christian values, which is Judeo first, then Christian. So what I would say is, and I would ask you this question, do you believe that in halacha of Torah, right, Jewish law, Torah law, that a government of Israel belongs to be a government? Or are we saying that the real aspiration is for a messianic government, which is when the Mashiach comes, or have which is essentially a monarchy, right? Is really what the future, what we claim and what we say will be the future of Israel, right? But right now, it's not the future of Israel. So, is the government allowed to be criticized? Which I think all governments should be allowed to be criticized, without question. They're not absolved from critique.
Sure.
Just because you're Jewish doesn't mean that the government is 100, right? We're still human. Governments are human. People make decisions on the information they have in front of them. And sometimes the information they have in front of them is not totally correct. What do you think?
I agree. I don't think there's any reason why we can't criticize government. However, if we had a monarchy, if we had a totalitarian or a theological government, there probably would be very, very little room for criticism. The fact that we separate church and state allows for more of that criticism. Whereas many countries in the Middle East that are more religious, the governments are more religious governments, very little to no room for criticism. So it's something to keep in mind, which makes it a little complex, because I like the idea of separating the two. If what the Torah says comes true, that we do eventually have a king and we have all these rules in place, if that happens, it happens. And if that is meant to be, then we're going in that direction. We have all these wars. The religious are populating faster than the non-religious. And so I believe that whatever is meant to be is going to happen anyhow. But I do think no matter what, which Jews are religious or aren't, this is the first step. This is all prophetic and supposed to happen. The Jews were supposed to gather from all corners of the earth to repopulate the land. It's happening.
Oh, maybe that's why they are getting upset, because if you take that notion that the Jews are going to come to Israel, they're going to build a third temple, right? That's where the dispute comes with the Al-Aqsa Mosque, right? And that's what I think there's an organization that right now.
So supposedly that's not even where the real Al-Aqsa Mosque is supposed to be. This is what Dr. Mordechai Kedar, if you've heard of him, he talks about the fact that the Al-Aqsa Mosque is really supposed to be in a different place. And I wish I was able to repeat verbatim what he said, but this is a known thing.
Well, anyone can Google it. I mean, just click here and Google that. Fact check us.
The point is Al-Aqsa Mosque has no root in religion, in Islam, to infringe upon the reestablishment of the temple. Well, the reason why we're not doing it is because we're afraid of a massive war breaking out. But religiously, they don't really have a claim to say that their mosque has any real holy significance on the Temple Mount itself. Supposedly, from what I understand, Muhammad ascended with the flying horse Buraq from a different area.
Whatever that means. I mean, the reality is in factual sense, the Quran clearly says that Israel is the land of the Jews, and so there's nothing to even dispute.
Right, Hadith has all these things. They're just worried.
But I think that's the problem, is the Hadiths. The Hadiths are the problem, because it's like you have a Talmud,
right,
of the Quran, which is not really based on, in my opinion, an exact logic, right? The Talmud is actually an exact logic, right? There is a structure, and there's many books written on the logic of the Talmud, defining its logic, right? But the Hadiths are not necessarily structured logics. They're I think more or less like what we closer to more Haggadah.
Yeah, just
Of our
sections. Many of them take it seriously, and then when it doesn't suit them, they kind of run away from it.
No doubt. But just to explain what Haggadah means is more the midrashic tales, more the moral kind of concepts, not law concepts that you can build building blocks off of. It just becomes like you're making it up as you go, which is not like how the Talmud is. Talmud has a structured logic, a structured system. Halacha has a structured system, and you can't really break those structures. Like we were discussing pre-show about if any Sanhedrin that would have killed or done a death penalty, right, of killing whoever it is, right, for whatever death penalty is, if they did it once in 70 years, they're considered a murderous rabbinical court, a murderous Sanhedrin, right, which is the highest court. With that being said, you clearly show, the Talmud clearly shows we're against death penalty. So we're not a death penalty for a capital punishment. It's against our doctrine. Even though the Torah says there's a death penalty, it's not that there's a death penalty that we enact. It's more that the death penalty is enacted by God, and he decides how it is by life circumstances. Whether, God forbid, a person gets sick, God forbid, a person has a car accident. We're not here to judge. That's already God's judgment per person. Oy v'roy if you judge a person who goes through any hardship. That God will test you on the same hardship. That's just a side point. I don't want people to think that I believe that people get punished for something. It's not for us to understand. It's for God to understand. But ultimately, there is no capital punishment like you see in the Muslim community where they're stoning people alive for hearsay. That's what I'm basically trying to say.
Yeah, it makes things different.
Right. Makes a lot of things different.
So the Zionist thing, we have I guess we have an understanding as to why, because to circle back as for why I drafted.
Right. That's the whole point.
I didn't go to the United States Army, not because I wasn't a proud American and I'm not a proud American, but because to me, when I had to choose between the two, I didn't really, it's not that I don't value being American. I very much do. I think there are people that are not Jewish that are set at the fact that a lot of Jews would put Israel first, even though they don't live in Israel. And I understand how that can frustrate someone. But when you have a nation, a group of people that have been kicked out of over 100 countries, 109 countries, and only in the last 76 years have a land they can go back to
Anytime, yeah.
it's very hard to not put that place first. Because we know that unless another invading army kicks us out, our own people aren't going to kick us out. Whereas in any country we live in, the United States too, it's a possibility, God forbid, but it's a possibility, just like all these other countries, that we may eventually be expelled. And so,
But what does that mean? Okay, let's hold off on that. All right, let's stop on this. How would because a lot of rabbis say this, a lot of people call me rabbi.
Yeah.
We need to move to Israel. We need to buy tickets. Right. Who said that you need to move? Now, they're not going to name names of rabbis. They say, this Pliny, this rabbi said it. I'm like, whoa. Did this rabbi or this leader buy a ticket already?
right.
Is he moving? Do you see the furniture being packed up in his house? So all those rabbis that said to leave, and they're very famous in social media, they did not buy a ticket. They're not moving. They're still here. Right. So that's already a flaw.
Any rabbi who tells other people to do it if he's not doing it, that's very hypocritical.
Right.
What I do think is to not put an immense amount of value in that country. That I think is a problem. Like if you're a leader of a community, you should be telling Jews that, hey, this country, I may have my personal disagreements with government. I may have wanted to do things differently. If I were in the leadership position, it's still the land of the Jewish people. We should treat it as such. We should give it honor and respect. So I see it.
Right. So I just want, since we're talking about this topic, I got to clarify a bunch of stuff because this is like a huge topic in my mind. It's like, since we're already on the topic and you're here and we are discussing about Israel, we're going to discuss more about your experience. By the way, you weren't, just a side point, you weren't drafted. You willingly went to the army. Okay. Just to clarify, because you said drafted. Right. So you actually went to the army willingly. This would be part of the idea. So what I want to, and this, I got to clarify this point for many people. So how would an expulsion from America, that's a constitutional republic, set up a system where they say, okay, all Jews are out, all American citizens are out? I personally don't see that happening without the fabric of this republic falling apart, which means basically as follows. If the constitutional republic falls apart and the Constitution becomes a meaningless document in America, then yeah, I mean, the only place to go is in Israel. I mean, there's no other choice. And the question is, will they even let us out? That's even another question, right? Once it gets to that level,
right?
Which is the biggest.
The sign. You have to see the signs.
Yeah, I have to see the signs. Obviously, I don't see the signs now. Right, that's number one. And number two, I want to bring this down for also the Gentiles watching our podcast. Right, there's a lot of this nonsense going out where some rabbis, and I'm going to correct these rabbis because I can say that I'm probably more learned than most of these rabbis claim these things, where they say America is considered Edom, which Edom means like an enemy of the Jewish community or the Jewish culture, right? It's far from it. It's far from it.
I definitely agree with you.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to explain why it's far from it, just to debunk their while we're on this podcast, right?
And if they believe that, they shouldn't be here, first of all.
Well, yeah, that's the oxymoron.
Yeah,
they believe
them saying that.
They're saying it and they're living it, right?
That's
so
ridiculous.
So their whole point is, because Germany used the golden eagle, and America uses the bald eagle. So this is Germany is Edom, and this is Edom. No, the reality is that America was never Edom because it was never occupied by any of the Edomites. When we say Edomites, we're referring to those who are occupying northern Germany, which is not necessarily even the same German peoples when we called Edom, because we know Sanherib mixed the communities, right? Sanherib was a famous king, lived in time of King Chizkiah in the Jewish first temple. And Sanherib actually wrote this famous thing, if you ever want to justify the Bible, right? He was, where's the Bible? No. If you look at the pyramid, it's the hexagon of Sanherib, you can see it in at least 4 different museums, where they give the exact storyline that's written in our book of Kings.
Interesting.
Right. And people don't know this. Like, you can Google this up. It's going to be a B-roll right now, easily. Like, you can Google this thing, the hexagon of Sanherib. It's a beautiful prism of Sanherib. They got many of those that exist. And it's literally, they say there's only two words different in Sanherib and in the Kings, right? So obviously it's going to be a few words different because of, who's writing them and why they're writing them. But in that point itself, a lot of people don't understand how Torah is written out. So unfortunately, there's another concept for the Maharal in Prague that says the Persian Empire is inherited to the Islamic Empire. So the Islamic Empire inherited the Persian Empire, which means the spiritual sets of Persia. It's under their wing now. And you can see that it's literally what's happening. Like, look at the Muslim community. They're literally in control of what the Persian Empire used to be. Right. And this Maharal in Prague writes this, and I think in his Be'er HaGolah Sefer or another Sefer, either or, I can, if you text me or email me, I can send you guys the source. But with that being said, definitely debunking this factor point of America being Edom. No, America is probably the most generous republic ever to exist. And as long as the Constitution is held up in full regard, like Adam was here last week, he always carries a Constitution in his pocket. I don't carry it, but I have it in my house. I have several copies. I don't think that there's going to be a way that, we will fight, America will fight with Israel. And the only way it will happen is if there's a full, collapse of American, the power that we have today.
Probably which could happen. I'm not going to see if it could happen. Could it? I believe, of course, I believe it could. Do I believe it will? In our lifetime, I don't believe it will in our lifetime. But to say an empire can fall, I mean, that's just not the case, because every other one has. Every other empire has fallen. So I hope it doesn't. I'm a very proud American. I love the United States. I'm grateful for the United States, and I hope it lasts for. I would say forever, but I don't know how late. It's forever.
Right. So what was the process of you enlisting, let's say? Like right now, did the U.S. Embassy say, oh, you can't enlist in a foreign country's army? Like, how does it work?
They know they know we do it. They know Americans, and it's a very...
What's that? So if let's say the Spanish guy who has dual citizenship, or doesn't even have a dual citizenship, he's from Spain, right? His parents were Spanish, right? Whatever it is. Or even a pure American. I want to fight right now for the Spanish army. Will they allow him to do it, or is it just give us to Israel?
I don't think so. I think it's a special thing that they allow us to do.
Really? Yo, we're gonna get a lot of hits on this.
Yeah, we probably will.
We're gonna say, wow, the Jews, oh my God.
Special treatment.
Look at the special treatment. Oh. Candace Owens is gonna love this clip.
All right. You know what I say? I think Jews have been able to make a massive impact on the United States, and I think
Well, that's what they're saying. We have the largest lobby, right? That's what they're saying.
we don't have the largest lobby as far as I know.
No, pharmaceuticals is the largest, but we're the second largest, I believe.
I thought Qatar has the largest lobby.
Well, I think the statistic shows about number 10. We're the 10th largest lobby.
Well, 10 is 1.
Right. But they're, I'm saying what they're saying. I'm not saying that.
Yes. Listen,
I'm not saying that we are.
There's a lot of, you know what it is? You know what's funny?
Okay, so we're the largest. We're one of the largest.
A lot of these Jews on social media like to tiptoe around issues, and they're too afraid to somebody says something to challenge us, and everyone's so quick to be like, but it's not really true. People go, oh, well, you guys run the media. You run this, you run, and Jews go, not really, because yeah, we do. We have a tremendous amount of power in the United States. It's like, we should at least admit it. Stop dancing around and deny. Sure.
Yeah.
But the thing is what do we do to deal with the ones that are not conducive for healthy American society? The Jews, the very woke Jews in Hollywood, the very woke Jews in anywhere in the United States, the George Soros, for example, people are pushing unhealthy ideas, ideas that are not traditional, that are not conducive to nuclear families, they're not healthy things, whether they're Jewish or not. But especially if they're Jewish, we should denounce that. We shouldn't just say, oh no, it doesn't matter, or they are Jews, or make believe it doesn't exist, sweep it under the rug. That doesn't help, because then when people have any kind of criticism and we label it automatically as anti-Semitic to get them to go away, then anti-Semitism holds no weight. And when something's truly anti-Semitic, nobody really cares if we start crying anti-Semitism, because it doesn't make any difference if we call every single criticism anti-Semitic. We're very intelligent people. We work together. We have a lot of power. So what do we do with that is the question.
Well, I mean, like, I want to just read it here. Let me just read the lobbying firms of income, right? Brownstein, Hyatt, I think this is it. Right? 50 million, Akin, Gump, Holland and Knight, Cornerstone Government Affairs, BGR Group. How much does APAC make a year? Let's see here. There's another list here I have here. Yeah, this is the list. I don't see APAC in this list in income wise, but maybe I'm not looking at it right.
No idea.
No idea either, right? Lobbying spend. Oh, here, the lobbying spend. The pharmaceutical health products are spending $383 million a year. Electronics and manufacturing is $244 million a year. Insurance lobbies are $158 million a year. Securities and investment is $147 million a year. Air transport is $138 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
Oil and gas is $133 million a year. Hospital and nursing homes is $128.9 million a year.
A large percentage of all those have a lot of Jews in them.
Okay, and therefore,
no, I'm just like, people already know this, and we are so afraid to stand on that. We're so afraid to stand on it, right?
right.
And the problem is what we do is we keep repeating history, because we cower and hide instead of saying, yeah, no, we do own a lot of sports teams. No, we are very successful. And, well, there was Madoff and Bankman-Fried, and they did it. Okay, and you're so wonderful. The thing is I'm not condoning anything that a Jew does that's wrong. Very much against it. Any of these guys that did any of these Ponzi schemes are very against it. This is a really good, important conversation.
Right.
A lot of the time, non-Jews don't do these big schemes, not because they're so virtuous, but because they probably weren't intelligent enough to come up with it. If you think these people who are robbing banks wouldn't come up with these multi-million-dollar schemes if they could, of course they would. They just do not know where to start, how to do, and how to pull it off. I don't, and I thank God I don't.
Yeah, but we can't say that. In the market crash in 2008, it wasn't because of all the Israelis fibbing on the mortgage rate, on the mortgages. It was a lot of other people. No,
I'm not sitting.
I'm just giving you an example.
I'm not sitting here blaming. There's so much effery. The majority of the scammers
are not
Jews.
Right.
Most of them. But the thing is because we're such a small group with so much success,
We're magnified.
anytime we do something wrong, it is magnified by 100 times. And so what I'm trying to say is we either sit there and apologize over and over and over again for the small percentage, because it is a small percentage of Jews that are making us look bad. And we focus on the good that we've contributed.
Remember, those small percentages did a lot of.
I hear you. I agree with you.
Madoff to Epstein to
I agree
who
with
knows? I mean, there's so many of them.
I agree with you.
We have to understand that, as Jews, we are judged more.
It's true.
I always try to tell people, listen, Jewish people are the most ancient civilization or ethnic group that lives till today.
You sure about that? We're definitely one of them. Definitely one of the oldest. I don't know about the oldest.
I think we are technically the oldest in regards to informational and scholarship work. So let me explain that to you. Okay, let me explain what I mean. Take any religion. No religion has the three concepts of Maaseh Bereshit, Maaseh Merkava, and the secret explanation of where sexuality comes from and why it's so become an important fact in society. Right? That has to do with the sin of Adam and Eve. Right? So that itself is a storyline that we created that. I mean, Graham Hancock will say that it comes from other countries or other cultures. Or there's a book called the famous book called the Adam and Eve book. He has a different quote, but there's no real hard evidence in the sources, but he quotes from the Indian cultures and other cultures where they have also an Adam and Eve story. Now, putting that aside, Judaism is the forefront in presenting these informational ideas, right? You don't have any other culture that exists today that has such rich connection to the whole creation of the world and the universe, right? So that's how I look about Judaism, right? Chinese culture, they have rich 3 millennia, right? But Judaism is not really just Abraham. It goes to Adam also. We have traditional understanding that information has been transferred from Adam to Noah, from Noah, I'm skipping between them, right? Enoch, and then you have Methuselah, and then you have Noah, and then you have from Noah to Shem ve'Evet, and from Shem ve'Evet to Abraham, and it goes on and on and on, right? We can go all the way to the end. So the Talmud's completion and writing. With that being said, we have that blessing, we have that situation, and people misunderstand what does it mean to be chosen people. It's not that we have a supremacy, right? Since we don't have the supremacy complex. Chosen means that we're obligated to be as a nation fully spiritual, fully in the world of Torah, the world of Judaism. Now, is Hasidic movement considered Judaism? Is the Litvish movement considered Judaism? Is the Ashkenazi movement? Is the Bukhari movement? Is the Syrian movement? What is the right way to say that you're considered following Judaism? I don't know. But I can tell you for sure you got to do the commandments of the Torah, right? That's unequivocally saying that you have to be Jewish. Everything else is more outlook and outreach in life to survive in a society, right? That's really where everything else comes from. So ultimately, Judaism is a 3 millennia culture at least, right? But for such a smart community, we weren't able to fight and combat the social media that's going on right now on social media and all that reverse engineering or reversing of saying that Zionism is bad.
We can if we're honest. The thing is there's actually some people. There's some guys that are making huge progress.
Let's give me an example. Who do you think is doing there's a guy, by the way, everybody should know that we're respecting, Rafi came even though he was sick, we appreciate it. He's drinking some water. He's doing the lip whiz. He's doing the video.
Get some tea. Yeah. And I think it's about the social media thing. We go about it wrong. I don't have a huge following, but I know that I say things that I know the pro-Palestinian side can't really argue with, unless I mean the knowledgeable ones, the ones that actually know things, because most of them don't know anything. But the ones that actually do know things, like Kareem, he might not agree with everything I'm saying, but he knows that I'm willing to say things as they are. I'm willing to rattle the bin, rattle the garbage can, or whatever terminology you want to use. I'm willing to stir it up a little bit. I'm not going to a lot of it, because I'm willing to just say what needs to be said. But there's an elephant in the room. Everybody wants to avoid it. Things have to be stated. So There's a guy, Sahar. He has a show, he has a YouTube channel, Official Sahar TV. He's an Israeli guy, speaks very good English. He's getting really big, and he does a great job. Now, most of the people he debates don't have that much knowledge. I know that he's more than capable of debating people that are very knowledgeable. He's very,
Well,
very
what side does he debate?
He's pro-Israel. He was in the army, but he's very, very good at it, and he's that's what he does. That's his sole focus.
I think it's unhealthy for us to debate about Israel and not Israel. And I'll tell you why. It's like American Indian debating an American why he should not have a reservation in America.
It's not about it, but
But that's the reality. Whether you believe it or not, it's like we don't debate American Indians. You don't belong here, right? We shouldn't be debating as Jews to say we don't belong here. Now, unfortunately, is that they don't know Jews are not just white looking, right? Jews are different colors. They're different, spectrums of the melatonin, whatever it is, right? We're different. There's so many different types of Jews. It's not the ones who just came from Europe. No offense to the European Jews, right? Or no offense to you.
Yeah.
Like it's they don't get it. Like we have the Ethiopian Jews. We have Jews who are Sephardic Jews, Temani Jews. We have, so many sects, Bukharian Jews, Syrian Jews. We have Jews who live literally all over the world, Indian Jews, Mumbai Jews, Australian Jews, Jews who have adopted so many other cultures that we're so diverse. I think we're the most diverse ethnic group than any other ethnic group.
That's what I was. Yeah, when people spread all over the world, they're going to intermarry. They're going to have conversions. You're living also in a certain climate for a long time.
Yeah, you're gonna
develop certain traits,
evolve it by adaptation. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you even see like there's a lot of we don't have to go down that rabbit hole now, but yeah, you see all kinds of stuff. You live in a place like New York, even if you're Sephardic, you go winter after winter, 4 generations down the road. You're not exactly getting tan on a regular basis.
No, you're not.
You go to Miami, you might see like an Ashkenazi looks like nice society.
Yeah,
it happens all the time. So like, there's all these things to take into account. But just to circle back, I don't have these debates to justify things. I don't have to justify our presence in Israel. It's more for 2 things. Maybe there's more than 2 things. We'll see where it goes. One is to show other Jews that it's very important to be outspoken and not to hide, to be very proud to be who you are.
All right. Which, by the way, that's why I love Adam.
Give people who don't really know what side they're on, people who are neutral, people who don't really know enough about either side, to give them a little bit of information to say, okay, here's my take. You decide how you want to go about it. Because we don't have any. We're a small group of people, right. So if we don't have any voices, we have very few voices. We're going up against hundreds of millions of people potentially, or at least however many anti-Israeli voices there are out there. There definitely are a lot more than there are of us.
Yeah, but we don't have to be. What's the right word? We don't have to answer those anti-Israelis. We have to focus on establishing our right to the land. So what I think is what's happening is we're fighting more to convince those who we know we never are going to convince.
So I don't look at it like that. Meaning I can say that I don't make my content around that idea. My stuff is very much, this is how it is. Take it or leave it.
It's like I don't do a lot of debates with like Christian debates or not Bible debates. Yeah, Rabbi Tula Singer.
So I don't do any of that either.
In Christianity, there is no original text for me to argue.
Okay.
That's the problem. The original text is in Greek, and Greek is a translation of Aramaic or Hebrew when it was written originally. As the Talmud says, the 5 students, whatever he had, Jesus or Yeshu, they had a book and they wrote it in, and obviously not going to write it in Greek. They're going to write it in Hebrew. These were religious Jews. They were not non-religious Jews. People are misunderstanding. Like the Reform movement, even the conservative movement, started from people who were religious. Right. Solomon Schechter was a Chabad guy who created conservative Judaism, and he was Orthodox.
Right.
So people are misunderstanding those points. I mean, I know on social media, if anyone watches it, they're going to, dissect what I just said, but I said it's so minute. It's not elaborate.
Do that though, to give people something to hold on to. Why did he create?
No, honestly, was the whole conservative thing. I don't look into that. Yeah, you could look into that. He was also a big manuscript collector. I mean, he was huge in that level. Like he bought the Cairo Geniza. He found the Cairo Geniza. There's a whole history behind him. But again, he was Chabad and he became conservative, right? So it was interesting to hear that back end story. But in general, I don't like to do those debates because I don't think would a Chinese person have to debate someone to say he belongs in China, that's their land? I don't think so, right?
Yeah, because the truth is nobody wants China like they want our land. China wasn't fought over nearly as much as our land was fought over.
No, who's fighting? I don't see much people fighting.
You don't see much people fighting over Israel?
I don't see I see very small amount of people fighting. It's like in the transgender community, right? Or the transgender ideology. Very few people are fighting the transgender issue.
Oh, because
it's not a mass global issue.
I don't think that's a good example.
Even Palestinians, it's not the whole thing with land of Israel, not land of Israel, is not by all Arabs. Not all Arabs, I believe. I saw many imams that say this is the land of the Jews. You should not even be doing anything, right? Like many imams have said it. Real older clerics have said it.
That's very complex. I just think a lot of them have given up on the idea because they haven't been able to make it happen.
Oh,
because do they still want to dismantle and destroy the country? There's a large percentage of them. Or if they're not the ones picking up guns to do it, there are many of them who support it from the sidelines. So,
by the way, you heard Israel just created its own quantum computer, right?
Yes.
So can you understand that? Look, people have to understand what that means. Like I can imagine Google and all these companies that have quantum computers is because some Jewish person was involved. And then
this is also why I brought up the thing that I did before, which were some Jews might hear that and be like, why would you say that? Right?
Why can't a Jewish person or community be proud of the success of their community?
No, but let me.
Like a black community will be proud for the success stories, and they should be proud for the success stories of many technological innovations. Even the light bulb, which was originally created by a person who was black, not by Thomas Edison, right? Who stole literally the technical work that made a person be able to create a light bulb.
Right. But I'm saying I just wanted to add to say that mentioning the bad that we've done does not negate the incredible good that we've done, because we've done a hell of a lot more than that of the good.
Right.
Well, I mean, without Jewish technology, innovation, medicine, agriculture, ideas, thoughts, religion, monotheism, I mean, we have changed the world over and over and over and over and over again in incredibly good ways.
Yeah, we changed the world by bringing monotheism to the world, right?
Like people say, they also brought communism. It's like, so where does it end?
That's the thing. Who brought communism?
Karl Marx.
Right, but Karl Marx was not a religious Jew. He was a Jew who hated himself.
Okay,
but and people also forget.
If we're going to criticize Arabs or Muslims, we have to. He may still be a Jew though, even if he's not.
No. He's a defect Jew because he's a Jewish person who renounces his own faith, his own identity. I don't believe people who are American and they speak bad about America, right? Like you living in a country, you must show gratitude to the country that you're in, and by devaluating what you have, right? Devaluing, why are you criticizing America? But yeah, you're living and basking in the benefits of American culture, right? Go leave the country if you don't like America.
Totally.
Leave it. And that's the thing. That's what I think. We should be proud of what we have. A Jewish person should be proud that he's Jewish first. And if he's American, he can be proud that he's American. He should be proud that he's American. If he's Israeli, he should be proud that he's Israeli. If he's both, he should be proud that he's both. That you have an ability to have two citizenships. Listen, I'll be proud if I have other citizenships. I would love to have citizenships in Spain, in St. Lucia, in many, many countries. I would love to have it. It's like my desire to have those citizenships and other citizenships. Why not? Right? Why not be citizens of other cultures as well? But ultimately, you can't be an oxymoron. You can't contradict your ideologies or your ideas altogether. That's my opinion.
Yeah. All right. Fair. He's still a Jew, though. Meaning a member of ISIS is still a Muslim.
Not in Judaism. By the way, in Judaism, if you're not following the Jewish laws, right, in a certain level, you're not considered a Jew anymore. In halacha of law. Right. So you lose your identity. Like people don't understand, and that's why I have it. I hear that vocal.
Our enemies don't look at it that way.
No, but you're right. But you have Jewish individuals who are saying Judaism is one thing, being Jewish is another thing. No. Judaism is what makes you Jewish. Without that religious identity,
Right.
what makes you different than any other person in the world? It's the same thing of Christian. If without that Christian identity, what makes you different than anyone else? Your differences are built upon sex and your religion that you believe in and the ideology you live in.
So you don't think I think an atheist Jew is still a Jew?
I don't think he's a Jew.
Okay.
I don't think he's a Jew.
I think
He's an atheist.
Right. No, he doesn't believe in God. He doesn't practice Judaism, but he still comes from a bloodline of Jews. He still comes from people who
Saying it. So the person whose mother is not Jewish, but father is Jewish, they also come from a bloodline who's Jewish. And they're not considered Jewish. Correct? So Judaism is not necessarily defined by bloodline. It's defined by your actions.
Well, it is. They just choose to go by the mother and not the father.
No, because the mother, so
It's very tricky. There's a component of bloodline. I guess it's a good argument you make with the father. I would still argue the guy is Jewish. The guy has Jewish components.
well, what's the name? What's the guy, actor's name? Black, what's his name?
Jack Black?
Yeah, Jack Black. What did he say? He says something very smart. He said, I think he has a thing. A person who has a woman, you can know that the baby came out of the woman, right?
Right.
But you cannot know where the father came from. That's not possible. So that's where the tenet goes. And by the way, this concept of we go by the mother exists only after the acceptance of the Torah. It doesn't exist pre-Torah acceptance.
Okay.
Pre-Torah acceptance, it went by Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. It didn't really matter who were the wives or the mothers of the Jewish community, because we know there's even the 12 tribes married into the Canaanite families, by the way. Some people say that, and some people say, the Canaanite families. That's one Nagash concept, or one verbiage from the rabbinical concepts. So yeah, Judaism in genetics, which was Kareem also tries to, we drop Kareem's name a lot here. Kareem's name, he mentioned about the genetics of the Arabs or the Palestinians have genetics too. Dude, I believe many Palestinians are Jewish in bloodline also. But does that make them Jewish? No, it doesn't make them Jewish. They live in a different life, different style, different ideology. And just to clarify to everybody, what does Judaism mean? Judaism is from the tribe of Judah, right?
Okay.
Right. That's what Judaism means.
Are you about to argue your own point?
No, it's not arguing.
Muslims from the tribe of Judah? Sounds like you're saying that there are people.
No. That the tribe of Judah established an evolution of the Hebrew nation, Israelite nation. And we have what we call today the tribe of Judah. And that's what we call Jews.
That's what I've been saying the whole time.
No, yeah. You're saying that if you're an atheist, you're considered a Jew. No, you're not considered a Jew. When Second Temple, right? We're in the Hanukkah week.
I think this is more of a semantic.
There was something called
semantics than anything else. Like, Jewish people are a people. They're a group. They're a tribe. So if a member of a tribe doesn't want to follow the commandments of that tribe, he may not be a good Jew. He may not be a virtuous Jew according to Orthodox Jews. Maybe he's a quasi-Jew or a half Jew. But nonetheless, in Nazi Germany, if a German Jew was an atheist, he was still killed all of everybody else.
Yeah, because that's the way they identified it, right?
But I think that is an indicator. I think that's life's way of showing us that you might not want to follow the laws. It doesn't dissolve you of who you are. You're still you're still a Jew.
It's debatable in halacha, by the way.
And I also like that if you remove, if a person becomes an atheist and you remove them from being a Jew altogether, then how did it happen? Maybe they would come back. Like if you say,
right, so but until he comes back, he has a different title.
Okay.
When he comes back, the point is that we cannot be lumped together with the Karl Marx of the world, with the Karl Marxes of the world.
Gotcha.
Right? Because by saying that he's Jewish, that means we are unfortunately going to be judged by association. A lot of people don't know what's in the Lenins and the Karl Marxes, the Bolsheviks. What did they do first? Especially in Bukhara and Samarkand, they were seeking out the rabbis to destroy all culture, and they wanted to kill the rabbis. Right? That's what they did. So people are forgetting that the Bolsheviks, and when they started to take over Russia and all the communist, all the SARS, places. The idea was to literally, wipe them out. And they were wiping out rabbis. They were killing rabbis, and they were killing all religion. So to say, oh yeah, this was a Jew. No, he wasn't a Jew. They created a system to kill other Jews. So, it's kind of, it's hard to say that he was Jewish. No real Jew will create a system to kill his brother. And if he does, there's got to be something wrong with him. He's not Jewish.
Yeah, I think that's where internal war comes in. The same way you have Muslims, right? Shias and Sunnis killing each other. If you play the game of like, oh, well, they're not, ISIS, oh no, they're not Muslim. Okay, so you can avoid responsibility for them, for those people. And, the Sunnis have Shias, like in Iran, the Shias in Iran doing all these things. The Sunnis can say, oh, the Shias aren't Muslim either. Okay, so ISIS isn't Muslim, they're not Muslim. And then, I don't know, the Assad, he's not Muslim either because he doesn't follow the way we are. So none of those are Muslims. We're not our responsibility. It's just a very easy way to throw responsibility away from.
Yeah, but it's also a very easy way to peg us to certain things that we're not supposed to.
Or we can confront these things, or we can say, okay, well, I do understand, but the thing is if we acknowledge these things, we can hopefully avoid them from happening in the future. We can educate our kids in a certain way. We can, if we see those things happening, we can denounce them before they happen. So if now we see some, I don't know, Dave Yadahu, whatever his name is, he starts spewing communist ideas in the middle of Manhattan. We as Jews can start putting him on blast saying, who is this nudnik? We can start, we make sure to avoid those things from happening.
Right, but I personally think we cannot be lump sum in a group of peoples who, firstly, deny their Judaism. They don't believe they're Jewish. Themselves, they don't believe they're Jewish. People who they themselves don't believe they're Jewish. They don't identify as a Jew.
Okay, yeah, so I guess that's different.
You think Karl Marx identified as a Jew?
Right. With ISIS, they're definitely claiming they're Muslims. So I guess it's different.
It's very different in that aspect. I mean, I want to ask you about another.
Yeah, if Karl Marx was proclaiming his Judaism, if he said that Judaism is why I'm a communist, okay, then that would be the same as an ISIS member. But if these people are,
no, these people can't claim that they're Jewish or they have any association with Judaism because Judaism does not promote any of this stuff. So where's their back? Where they're clinging onto? They're not clinging onto anything. Okay. Next question. What experiences did you have in the idea that changed your life?
Well, the trading was definitely intense, and I part of me feels like I could have even done more in terms of training, more difficult training, but it was definitely something that teaches you about your mental ability. So that was great. All kinds of hikes, all kinds of shooting drills, training drills, war drills.
Were you ever in a war?
No. I was in the West Bank.
So essentially you are like a police state, right? Not a police state, a police entourage. You're not the actual police of Israel,
right?
But you're the police for any outside issues.
I guess that's the way of looking at it.
It's not like you're going to go right now. You can take your tanks and start moving into wherever you got to move into, right? You're not doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. Yeah, it's an accurate statement.
Because people need that context. I know you're not going to talk about it by yourself in your own podcast, but there's a time to really get people to really understand. Look, the IDFs are not the way everybody's saying it. We're not genocidal. We're not killing people.
I am not saying, when I say we are killing people, it is not saying that we are automatically doing something wrong. We are killing people because we're in a state of war where we are waging a battle that is very difficult. We have a goal of destroying Hamas and getting our hostages back. Civilians are going to die. They're not dying because they're just dropping dead. We are unfortunately killing them. Is Hamas the reason for this war? Yes. So this is the nuance.
Right. No, that.
So when I say, we're killing them, I'm not saying, the war needs to stop. No, the war needs to continue until the end.
Well, I wasn't even referring to that, by the way. I was referring to a different semantics that everybody was saying.
Yeah, we're not committing a genocide because at the end of the day, if Hamas surrendered and gave the hostages back, the war would be over.
No doubt. But what I was trying to say is a little bit different. What I was trying to say, if they want to call war a genocide, then every war must be categorized as a genocide. Because that's what they're saying. And essentially, they're saying they're saying as follows, that we have no right to fight a war.
Right.
and therefore we are committing genocide.
In our case specifically.
Yes, in our case specifically.
Yeah, because they don't believe that we have a right to be there. Thus, we don't have a right to wage the war. It doesn't matter that it's 40,000. If it was 2,000,
It doesn't matter.
we would be as bad, maybe not, but they would still be crying, carrying on that we shouldn't have, in their eyes, we don't even have a right to respond to what happened on October 7th. October 7th was a just response to the mistreatment, and we should just allow that because we deserve it. That's really how much of the world views this.
Yeah, no doubt.
And so if we want to appease them and make them happy, we should have done nothing, essentially.
Right.
Which is the craziest thing.
Right. They try to compare whatever's happening in Palestine to the Holocaust. There are a few commentators who did that at Piers Morgan show and other shows. But yeah, where are the ovens in Gaza? Like,
there are none before October 7th.
Right.
Was Gaza New York City?
No, it was a good place though.
But it had listen, it's not a place most people would want to live.
No doubt.
But a beautiful place. It was a hell of a lot better than it was on October 8th. That I'll tell you.
Right.
They have all these videos, all these Gaza Strip videos, my life, what it used to be. That you have guys working at cafes, giving up kanafa, having coffee, having tea, kids going to college, taking selfies. They're on the beach. There's all the kids are on the swings by the beach. There's all these different weddings going on and these different ceremonies and the beautiful apartments. Some people live very nicely. And they're like, oh, we wish we had this, but Israel destroyed it. It's like, if you weren't building while you had those things, if you weren't building miles and miles of tunnels, if you actually said, hey, we will live in Gaza, we're done trying to defeat you, you have it pretty good. Would you have it? Would it be the most beautiful country in the world? Would it be the richest country in the world? Probably not. But it would be a hell of a lot better than it is now.
No doubt.
Because you just...
They said this in the podcast with Adam. We said that all the money spent, they could have spent
these are all old things. And the reason why I kept repeating my points, the few points that I threw in there, all stems from an unwillingness to accept rule, not just Jews in the land, Jewish rule. Mm-hmm. Because Arabs are very honorable in a sense where everything they do is about honor, right? How does it make their family look? Even though they'll do very silly things, but in a sense, they're very traditional people. They're religious people, and honor is very important. It's the idea that the dhimmis, the Jews who were the minorities in their countries for thousands of years, now have rule over a country, and a prosperous country, a powerful military. How could this be? How could we allow this? Our subservience, we're the Muslims, we're the best. And these Jews who used to be beneath us are ruling our country, right? We can't allow this. And so to them, it's better to continue to fight us and have their honor versus allowing us, kind of relinquishing power to us, living in Gaza and not having the whole thing. So they're just, through indoctrination, through this belief of honor, this really strong Middle Eastern belief, they're unwilling to accept it. They just keep fighting and fighting and fighting. And what makes it easier for them to justify the fighting is when we have liberal, woke Jews, or however you want to spin it, that go, yeah, okay, you know what? We don't want to fight with you anymore. Let's give more land to you. Okay, thank you. Here's more. What? Why are you still fighting us? I thought we gave you land. Isn't that what you want? I want the whole thing. Okay, so take a little more. Okay, we'll take a little more. We're still going to keep fighting you. Why are you still fighting us? What? We just gave you more land. They don't get it. And the problem is when you aren't willing to be as honorable as they are, the Arabs just want us to admit it. The Arabs just want us to say, guys, just lay the law down. Just tell us the truth. But we're afraid to tell the truth. Truth is scary, right?
Well, the reality is not that they kicked us all out. So where do we go to Israel? So if they didn't kick us all out, they want to have...
That's a huge part of it. That takes looking in the mirror. That takes a lot of self-reflection.
Right, but that's the reality. If they didn't kick us out, you don't have... You just put a mass population in the center that you want.
They pushed us into that position, and now they're upset about it. 100%.
Right, no doubt.
But the thing is Jews now need to say, you're not getting any more land. This is what you got.
Well, that's what everybody's saying. There's no more two-state solution.
No, so now, this is October 2nd.
They're saying that it's a three-state solution, no?
Oh, how does that work?
Well, where West Bank becomes part of Jordan, and then Gaza becomes part of Egypt. That's what I want to do.
So I don't.
But that's what I don't believe. I already said what I believe.
I don't agree with that because I think it's part of Israel.
I know.
I think
Gaza was never part of Israel.
Wait. Well, the West Bank, we can't keep that away.
I mean, I meant what? I meant West Jerusalem. What's their Jerusalem called? East Jerusalem? What is it called? East Jerusalem. I mean, that's what I was referring to.
I don't think any part.
West Bank is for sure not going to be given, but
why would a part of Jerusalem be given to anybody? It's Jerusalem.
I don't know. That's up to debate. I don't know what's going to happen.
I don't have to give anything to anybody. We're a tiny little country.
Well, now I know for sure that I'm giving anything. That's no doubt.
Sanity.
But the reality is, Gaza was never part in ever.
This is the Arab world. This is us, right? And we're like, we'll forgive you a little bit more. And they're like, come on, give us more. And we're like, yeah, but we guess we have enough. It's crazy. We're so dumb.
No. I mean, I don't think they're going to be giving anything away anymore. But the reality is, what I can tell you right now, my point of view, is that Gaza technically, historically, was never part of Israel, by the way. It was never. It was the Philistines who lived there. There's Philistines.
Yeah. I've seen this many times too.
They were part of Greek. They were part of the Greeks or whatever it was. But they never lived there. I mean, that area was never part of Israel in that sense. I don't think we should be occupying it in a sense right now.
I'm sure.
Again, I'm not saying that that it's occupied or Gaza is an occupied territory. It's not an occupied territory. I just think when you have a border to protect yourself from suicide bombing, and that's what I said originally in our podcast, that the suicide bombing was the cause of this, wall barrier being put out, right? I mean, if you're sending your kids to kill themselves, that's wrong to do. You should not be doing that. Martyrism is their go-to, and we presented the research that there were more suicide bombing beliefs in Palestine than there are in any other country.
Yeah, I think they would be more willing to accept our rule if we weren't so afraid to admit it. I think that's what it is.
I mean, what? What are we admitting?
Admitting that this is our country. Admitting that this is our country and you can live in it. Mm-hmm. It's very hard to admit that because we know that they've been there for a long time. It's something that's very hard to stand on, right? Mm-hmm. I understand all these nuances. Like I'm a Jew from New York, right? If I went and moved there now, just have my children, my parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, were they in that land? No, they were Euro. So would Ahmed Al whoever be like, you have more of a right to the land than I do? I say, okay, well, you kicked the Mizrahi Jews out of the Middle East. The Germans who were in cahoots with the Mufti of Jerusalem were in cahoots with Hitler. So you're kicking us out from Europe, kicking us out from the Middle East. Ashkenazi Jews are Jews. The Mizrahi Jews are Jews. So how does this work in practice? I get your point. Many of your ancestors only came in the last 70, 80 years when the Jews started to come. How do we differentiate which one of you are here for 1,000 years? Which one of you are here for 50 years? We're going to start playing this never-ending game, and we're going to go with the skin color of like the redhead Gazan versus the black or brown Israeli, and we're going to play on skin. We're not going to get anywhere there either. Understand? Remember where we are now. People are so focused on like what, but back then, if you didn't attack my cousin, then my cousin wouldn't have killed your neighbor. And it's but Hamas only attacked on October 7th because so if you didn't do this and we would have done that, it's like we are here now in 2024, about to hit 2025 in 2 days. What do we do from here? The Jews are not going nowhere. The Palestinians, I don't necessarily, I wouldn't want them to go anywhere if we can make it work. On a balance of probabilities, the Jews, the Israelis are probably going to stay there faster than the Palestinians would. And I say the word Palestinian out of respect because I don't even think this is such a thing, but for the sake of the argument, the Palestinians want to stay here. That's fine. What are we going to do? Like, how do we come to a peaceful?
Well, obviously, there's not going to be a peaceful resolution because you have the mandate that Israel already stated they're going to stay there for now. They will not police or govern, but they will stay there for security.
They need to. So unfortunately, there's no choice because then Hamas is just going to recruit more people. They're going to regroup. If we pull out now, we're just allowing it to go on again. We have to come up with whoever rules it, whether it be Honestly, I don't think an outsider. I don't think Egypt's going to want to take on the responsibility. I don't think Saudi Arabia is going to want to do it. It's probably going to fall on us to figure it out, and we have to just be smart enough.
No, I think it's going to fall on Israelis. It's going to fall on Americans. And I think Arab countries are going to bankroll it a little bit. That's what I think it's going to be.
You think so?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a bankroll to rebuild. That has to be.
It just needs to be extremely strict. There's no tunnel nonsense. There's nothing. Like, we need
Yeah, you got to do a zoning code. No tunnels.
Right.
DOB inspection. Let's see if there's a tunnel by your house. Okay, everything good. No tunnels here.
We have to be a lot less stupid than we normally are, knowing that these things are happening under our noses and we allow them to happen.
But they're complaining, and I see where they're complaining. Is that Netanyahu did let it happen.
Right.
That's their complaint, right? I mean, is that a valid complaint?
It's all a chess game.
So you believe it's valid?
That he let it happen?
Do you believe Netanyahu enabled it to happen?
The tunnels?
It was a whole thing. The funding from Qatar, everything. They're saying because he let the Qatar funding go through.
Why would he want to do that though? What's his reasoning?
Well, they're saying in order to have a war like this.
I don't know if it's the truth. Could it be? Well, unfortunately, war is deception.
Okay, but I'm saying, do you believe Netanyahu did it on purpose? I don't believe it is on purpose. I think hindsight is 20/20. I think that I
don't know. I need more of a reason to believe it. I don't know. Would he want things to get so bad that eventually the volcano erupts and now we have this ability to just go ham?
Right.
I mean, it kind of makes sense.
But the joke is we never went full force.
Oh yeah,
we were very, treading very slowly in execution. I mean, they could say it's otherwise in a year, but we could have went in, guns blazing within the first 2-3 months and getting the people out.
I mean, like if they open the Egyptian border, I can confidently say half of the Gazan population would have left.
But the problem is then that half population will be living in Egypt. And they don't want that, Egypt.
No, I understand. So the thing is Egypt wasn't going to allow it. My point is people like to say Palestinians will never leave. Okay. If they open those gates at Rafah, so at least half of them was not bounced. Probably most of them would have been gone. Because once all Palestinians know deep down that the Jewish people in Israel are synonymous. They know that. And you can still be a native of the land while at the same time acknowledging that the Jews are too. Right? When you see Jews are just absolutely relentless in protecting this land, something in them is going to go, these are the real deal. They might not all be religious. They might not all follow the Torah like we wish they would, right? That's our fault. We all fall short. But and they are seeing this. They see how the Israeli army came into Gaza on October. They saw the Israeli army came in right? And they said, okay, well, we didn't expect this. I don't think the civilians thought that Gaza would be turned.
Well, yeah, but they're not thinking that global. Yeah, I agree with you. But they're not thinking that global, level that it's going to happen, right? They're not understanding how the geopolitics works, the educational system.
The Gazans were celebrating because they thought that what might have been the day where they can take over. Hamas might actually defeat the Jews. It's like,
and it was not.
Not only did it not work out, but Israel pretty much single-handedly defeated all of these proxies by itself. I mean, sure, we have, America's helped, but boots on the ground. Brilliance. The stuff that we've been able to accomplish, the Israeli government's been able to accomplish, Israel gets the credit for that. Everybody trying to jump down on Twitter, it's like the beepers, the killing of the leaders, that's just the picking off of all of these enemy leaders, one by one. That's Israel's doing. That's what Israel does. Brilliant military strategy. And this is with mercy too. Like if Israel just had no mercy, Israel could destroy Yemen in minutes, entire country. I mean, they could destroy all these countries pretty much.
In a lighter note, what do you think about the real estate market?
How do we gently shift? Okay. And I want to be clear. I don't want destruction. I want peace. I want love. No doubt. We need respect. The thing is, the reason I come this aggressively is because the Middle East is a very tough place. People respect strength. I hope and I feel it's happening. I'm seeing a lot of Muslim and Arab voices that are in favor of Israel's existence. So if you want to shift to real estate, I just want
No, I just wanted to know aside
on a more positive note.
Since we were talking about Gaza and real estate, I'm like, okay, light it up. What about real estate?
No, but I just want to say that despite all of these harsh statements I'm making, I want Jews to be tough. I want Jews to be outspoken, and I think that is the most important thing to bring peace. Because when people see that you are proud and true to who you are, they're much more likely to respect you. Works that way at an individual level and a collective level. Because there really is nothing more that I want than ending to wars, ending violence, having peace with our neighbors, whether that be in the West and the Middle East. We'll all make a lot more money that way. Peace will bring you more money than war will. And so that's what I hope for.
Right. So what triggered you exactly to go to the idea in general?
I like the uniforms. I thought they were cool. Like I said, many reasons.
I mean, it's not just because your grandma was Zionist, right?
I wanted to be a soldier. I wanted the army experience. I wanted the training.
More of a disciplinary kind of, like, get yourself in.
It was a collective feeling of this is just part of my journey.
I got you. I think it is. I think it makes you who you are.
Oh, that's experience. It really does. And really, really made me a very different person. It gave me so many opportunities.
Wow, that's very good.
It's a big part of my identity. It's great.
Love it. So now going back to real estate, because I really want to know a little bit about the markets in Florida and New York. What are you thinking? Like, what's
a great shift? We went totally
like, I just wanted to know a side point, what's going on in the market. I mean, because that's also who you are. You're an agent.
For sure. So Florida market's a good market. The condo market's rough. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of assessment costs. Champlain Towers. Do you remember the building?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Mm-hmm.
So ever since then, the counties are very strict on buildings having structural issues, code violations, proper money in reserves, and all of these things cost money, and therefore the owners rather, are responsible for these costs. And a lot of these buildings didn't have the proper reserves, and there were cracks in the ceilings, and they were just letting things go, especially in the older buildings. And now that they have to make sure that everything's up to par, it's costing these owners a lot of money. And so a lot of these owners are selling now, and the new buyers don't necessarily want to take on all these costs.
Wow.
So that's causing a dip in the value.
Wow.
People know that they can get in and buy at a bargain, which is why for buyers now, it's a great time. Buyers think that, let me wait till the rates come down. The rates aren't disastrous. They're solid rates. They're not bad. They're in the 6s. Really not bad at all. And you don't have a lot of competition. So it's real estate is a long-term play. Of course, if you're flipping, it's a different story. Most people are going to be holding property. So
what about those buildings that I heard that are centimeters off now, sinking or something on the Isles? That's a whole report.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah. I don't know enough. I don't have enough info.
I mean, honestly, I'm not a fan. I'm not going to buy.
I think it's very speculative.
I don't think I'm going to be buying anything in Florida. But honestly, I'm a New Yorker through and through. I mean, if anything, I buy something in Manhattan. Like, I don't know, like I'm not buying in Florida. Like what I can spend in Florida, let's say I'm going to spend, let's say a condo, $800,000, right? Then I'm going to be going there how many times a year, right? Okay, maybe renting. A lot of those condominiums you're not allowed to do the Airbnbs, right? So I'm thinking, okay, 800,000, but I can take 10,000 to 15,000 every year for the next 30 years and rent a presidential suite and not have any of the income or the expense of what's it called, of this headache of a condo in Florida. I mean, my opinion.
I think the sinking thing is I don't know. I don't think that's going to be an issue. I think if a building like this sinks into the ground, you and I will be long gone before that happens. I don't see that being an issue anytime soon.
Well,
I don't know. I'm not an environmentalist, but I think people are very quick to freak out over things.
Right. There was, by the way, a building in San Francisco shifted over a foot all off. Shit, it literally sunk like a foot almost. Yeah, but I was at San Francisco.
I think they'll come up with something. If suddenly one year the building starts sinking into the ground, they'll find some kind of platform, or maybe they'll knock a few buildings down. Maybe there's just too many buildings built on the shoreline. Who knows? There's plenty of Florida real estate that's off the coast, that's more inland, where you don't have these issues. Florida has so many pros to the state. Like, I understand you're a New Yorker. I also have a lot of love for New York, but there's so many pluses to
Listen,
Florida.
I hate traveling just to buy food. When I can just walk for 5-minute drive and you got your
Because it comes with a lot of headaches. It comes with congestion, dirtiness, traffic, taxes.
we're saying he will bedil v'yavor. Who cares? It's already forgive and forget.
You choose this, it's your comfort zone. You're used to it.
No, because listen, I believe in any entrepreneurial work or scholarly work, and you want to output as much as you can in your life. You can't burn time on travel time, right? Like I believe travel time. If you're living even if you're living in Long Island, I believe you're if you want to really be a producer of your projects and you're a self-made person that's going to produce, you can't be living a semi-retired life at 30, 40, 50, 55. You live retired when you're 70, man. Till 70, you can work, bro. Honestly.
Florida, where I live in Florida, it's not like that. There's so much going on.
Yeah. Okay. Where you live? Well, I don't want those in short.
No, say
No, I have a tour area. Okay. Yeah. There's a lot going on there, but still, it's still nonchalant level of living. So not the same as New York. It's not, honestly.
South Florida has plenty to do. Yeah. There's plenty to do. You just have to have that mind. You either have that energy, that personality, or you don't.
But the area can diminish that personality, Nah, not for you.
You got it.
Well, you're a New Yorker, bro. How are you going to diminish that value? You're a New Yorker, brother.
If you got it, you got it.
If you got it, you got it.
There's plenty of lazy asses, excuse my language, because we're in school. Lazy butts in New York. There are. Everyone in New York's out there working all the time.
Oh, no doubt. But
it's either in you or it isn't. So I'm saying, yeah, if I lived in Wyoming or in
the far,
I lived in like a land with desolate land, I would understand you. But we're talking about major.
For most people who live in there, they're getting them at crack of dawn, 4:30 in the morning. They're feeding the cows. They're feeding the horses. They're plowing the fields, bro. I don't think they're not utilizing their time. They're utilizing their time very much so.
Well, if we're talking from technologically, it's social media, ways to make money in your sleep, right? Those farmland kind of job. I mean, as a farmer, you can make real money. But
by the way, and to connect with our conversation, that was the detriment to the Gazan people in Palestine and the Palestinian people. Right. They just burned 20 years of their time where they could have revitalized the whole country to a beautiful country.
Yeah, well, no, but we do that as individuals too, right? We sabotage our future for some my hopeful what if.
Not just that, it's not a what if, for some sort of pride that you have. Like, let it go.
It's Arab. Let it go. It's Arab honor. It's
Well, it's any honor, anyone's honor.
No, but I think like
gava, we say in Hebrew, right? Gava. If you keep your gava, you're gonna lose all the time.
Yeah.
Put down the gava, bro. What are you fixating on the gava?
I don't know if we have that same. I don't know if we ourselves have that.
What do you mean by that?
I don't know if we would be. Would Jews be blowing themselves up with suicide belts?
I never heard of a Jew doing that.
Right. What I'm saying is they have a different. They have it as on a level that I've never.
I think it's because their concept of heaven and how to obtain heaven is different than ours. So you have a different ideology. So the Judeo-Christian belief, and even Jewish belief and Christian belief is a little different. In Judaism, there's such a thing. You never go to hell forever, right? Except for a few types of peoples, right? I'm not going to mention the people's name. But in general, with the types, But in general, a person who sins goes to hell for up to 11 months. And that's it. He goes to heaven, or he comes back as a reincarnation. Right? There's no purgatory.
It's not so bad. Let's go to Vegas.
Yeah, no. When you're coming back, the Kabbalah says that it's worse to come as a reincarnated individual than going to hell and going to heaven after the fact. And they say, women always go to heaven.
Yeah,
they come back for the men in order to fix their husbands back in the second lifetime. That's what the Kabbalah says. Side point. Shout out to all the women. So anyway, listen, I think this has been a great podcast. We got to do this again. So I wish you like a lot of success, man. Feel better. You got to do this when you're more excited, man. More exciting.
And I try. Really.
I try to burn you a lot, like burn you on words and concepts, like, dude. Yeah. So I honestly, Rafi, may God bless you, brother. I wish you a lot of success. And any girls out there, call me. We need a shidduch for Rafi. Lots of love. We need a share for Rafi. Lots of I'm telling you, man, you had a lot of calls from Bukharian girls right now. Oh, he's available. He's available. He's a real estate guy. I want to move to Florida.
I know, right? They all want to move. They all want to move to Florida. They want to get away from their neighborhoods, right? They're like close to neighborhoods that everybody knows her. So they just want to be free.
Yeah. So anyone who wants to do Rafi
Right off into the sunset.
Yeah. They want a bracha? I want to give a bracha.
Sure.
Okay, Bishe Berach et Avotenu et Abraham Yisrael Shlomo Yivach Rafael ben Abraham שישבור ייתן לך הצלחה וברכה ופרנסה ובריאות וקדושה וטהרה שיהיה לך חופה השנה לבטל כל עין כל מכן כל מעשים שיצליח על כל דרכך כל מעשה וכן ירצו לומר אמן. We're doing the praying thing since Daniel said to do the prayer. You know,
It's always wonderful.
yeah, may God bless you. May God bless. And may God bless everybody. Don't forget to tune in and subscribe, please. Thank you.
Yes. Soothing Semantics. Check it out on YouTube. Make sure.
And RB Podcast, Rabbi Beni Podcast, and I Shook Podcast as well. Thank God, everybody. Be well, be well. Nice meeting you.